Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Bridge Researchers. The Bridge Researchers has been created to bring together Conscientiology researchers from all over the world in order to facilitate knowledge, exchange, and sharing of its interassistantial experience. We are discussing different subjects every first Sunday of the month. And I would like to keep this invitation to everybody that's interested in the debates on the conscientiological paradigm. Okay, let's talk a little bit about ISIC. ISIC is an interassistantial service for in the internationalization of the conscientiology. It's a non-profit organization run by volunteers within ICCC. ISIC has the status of a pre-conscientiocentric institution, or pre-CI. Okay, so let's introduce our researcher of this Sunday here. Okay, so let's welcome Viviane Passos. Okay, Viviane, has a master, doctorate, and postdoctorate in environment law. She started volunteer conscientiology in 2009 at IIPC in the city of Manaus, in Brazil. She's a Penta practitioner since May 2019, 18, sorry, and teacher of Conscientiology since January 2019. Currently, she is a part of the Invisible College of Para-Urbanology, and also she is author of the books La Gestão Integrada y Participativa de las Aguas em Brasil e Espanha, and Legal Protection for Environment Migrants, Current Challenges and Ways Forward. So, Viviane, welcome to the Bridge Researchers.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night to everyone, wherever you are, in all parts of the world. So thanks, Marcelo, for the presentation. I'm from Manaus, but currently I live in southern Sweden. Year of Life, the Bridge Research, especially because I will have the opportunity to share some points of my research, which is about adaptability. But first, I would like to thank the organizing team of this live, the ISIC team, Marcelo and Renato there, especially Marcelo, who directly invited me to talk today. So my gratitude also to everyone present, include the extra-physical team. I would start saying two important things. First, to remember you about the principle of disbelief. That's the guide principle of conscientiology. So do not believe in anything, not even what I will say here. Research, reflect, refute, and have your own experience. The second point is I will present what I have researched on adaptability so far. So it's an unfinished research, and I account with your questions and the debate. So please feel free to say your perspectives. You certainly have some inputs you could contribute to extend my vision and improve this research. Also, please leave your comments on YouTube saying who you are. Thank you. So next slide, please, Marcelo. So I want to start by talking briefly about why I became interested about adaptability. Well, every change requires a certain degree of adaptability to the new. What I'm saying is, many moments of life we are challenged to make movements. So we can say that the last 50 years is visible the acceleration of these changes. This requires a much more developed adaptable power, for example, to keep pace with technological advance or to face all kinds of change we used to have during the lifetime, like work, profession, residence, city, state, country, language, groups, behaviors, cultures. legal systems, political model, paradigm, climate, environment, and so on. So now, more than ever, in this pandemic situation, we have to do a major effort to adapt all changes that are being imposed every day. In my case, what most challenged me was the migratory adaptability. Because I'm like a gypsy girl. Before leaving Brazil, I had already lived in 4 states, and I changed apartments many, many times. So in November 2008, I left Brazil, and since then I live in 5 different countries. So Spain, Portugal, France, Norway, and now Sweden. And I visit 35 countries. So with all these moves, in study adaptability has become a necessity. So in each country and to different degrees, I had some challenge, what I consider growth crisis in my evolutionary journey. So with all this experience and challenge in different cultures, especially given the great difficulty that I still have here since I arrived in Sweden in 2017, I start to understand that problems will always exist, no matter where, even because there's no paradise on earth. So I reflect and accept that it's up to me to fight for my well-being wherever I am. Depends on me to facilitate my integration, my interaction with people and environment where I am. So I had 2 options: to continue depressed and complain about the things in Sweden is not easy as I imagined, or try to go deep and start to overcome my inadaptability. So I start to do a self-assess and try to understand to what extent is this really my problem, or it's a difficult for everyone. So I want to make it clear from the beginning here that I still not feel a super adaptable person, but precisely because of that, I need to make this effort to improve this. So since January 2018, I start to study this, so more than 2 years and a half. Then I start testing the application of some adaptability mechanism and share them with others in form of presentation, included Invisible College of Paraherbanology. Also in form of verbatim, I present the international migratory adaptability in the international journals, and I send articles to the Interparadigms journal and to the Paraherbanological Essays book about this subject. Next slide, please, Marcelo. So now I will present the talk today. I will bring here some thoughts that are part of my research, much more to draw attention to the importance of deepening in this start, or at least to start reflecting about adaptability. It's actually, I've already written around 70 pages about it, but I hope it became a book. Let's see if I can finish as soon as possible. So there are many subjects that we could explore. But today, I think the most important here is to show at least an overview what I have studied until now. So the first part is about the consciential approach. So from the beginning, I was saying that this study, I've studied focus on the conscientiology paradigm. So why do we need the adaptability trait? And the second part, we bring self-test of some contexts. So the question here will be, have you ever stopped to think if you are an adaptable person? So we will analyze some common situation in our life. Now, the pandemic situation, the new normal, also the technological readaptation, you will be hope we need to be all the time like learning something about technological tools, no? So also if you had some experience of migratory adaptability, so we talk about some situations. The third part will be about the self-diagnosis, and we will analyze which behaviors do not help us to be an adaptable person. So the next slide, please, Marcelo.
Okay, and just reinforcing to the group, please send your questions through the chat. Okay, we are going to answer the questions at the end of each part.
Okay. Now we'll talk a little about the definition. The definition that you have in the image is from the Oxford Dictionary and says that adaptability is the quality of being able to adjust to new conditions, the capacity to be modified for new use or purpose. The etymology says that the term adaptability comes from the Latin language adaptare, adapt, adjust. So I bring here not only synonyms, but the sense of adaptability I develop in this research, which is ability to fit, to switch, to transform, to reinvent, update, readjust, resignify, reperspective, to harmonize, to integrate. So also, I want to leave here the famous quote that says, "It's not the strongest that survives, nor the most intelligent. Who survives is the one who has the best, who adapts best to change." So this is from Leo Magison, who was a marketing professor at Louisiana State University. But on internet, often mistakenly, the people say that this quote is from Darwin, but don't trust, it's from Leo Magnuson. So another curiosity that I realized this year, it's funny, is the verb to adapt in Swedish is passa. And then I said to my husband, so now I complete my mission of life. Viviane adapts, Viviane passa, Viviane passos. I'm kidding. Let's go, Marcelo, to the consensual approach in the next slide. So I don't know if everyone who's watching is already familiar with the consensual paradigm, but at this live I would be also will be recorded. So I think it's important to explain in this study of adaptability that I'm doing. I also consider what a traditional science has studied, but the focus here is on the consensual approach. Said that first, I would say that I would clarify that conscientiology has an objective of study, the consciousness. So what is consciousness? It's me, it's you, it's all of us who manifest in here and now in other dimensions. So very quickly, it's worth showing that this new science, the we have four manifestation bodies: the physical body, the emotional body, the energetic body, and the mental body. The bioenergetic, we study the influence of immanent and people energy in everything we interact. The multidimensionality, we understand that each person interacts in multiple dimensions. Multi-existentiality, we consider that consciousness has multiple human lives with periods called intermissive, that's between human lives. Cosmoethics, this is the cosmic morality, which is broader principle than human morality. Universalism, so we study from the micro-universe of the consciousness and expand from it to the universe where we all are immersed. The self-experimentation is the idea that the research should personally experiment the projection. That is a natural phenomenon that provides itself, that proves itself. Therefore, do this premise, the study of adaptability ends up being much broader within the consensual paradigm than if I study only for the psychologist issue. So we have the opportunity to study this and deep with some experiment and that the science proposed to us. So now I bring to you the definition of Vieira made in the Adaptability verbot from Encyclopedia of Conscientiology that defines adaptability as the property, capacity, quality, or condition of someone or something proves to be adaptable, adjustable, or harmonized, allowing self-availability, engagement, integration, and productive activism to new situations, things, and events. Marcelo, we can keep going and to the next slide. So why do we need the adaptability trait? In the present age, changes are even faster and more impactful. So let's list some history acceleration indicators. So we have overpopulation. In 1960, it was 3 billion. Now, 60 years late, we are 7.8 billion people. So also globalization, that's a phenomenon of capitalism economic model, which made an interconnection in the planet. The hyperconnectivity, we live in a world that many systems and devices are always connected to social networks and the source of information. Increase of crimes and violence. Several international reports demonstrate this increase. You see every day in the TV news. So unsustainable use of natural resource, the same. You don't even need to show data because air pollution, water pollution, soil, the exploitation is visible. We also see in the television many examples of this every day. So pathological interaction with other living beings. The decrease of biodiversity is also a fact. I recommend a documentary called Our Life in Our Planet from Netflix, made by David Attenborough. I don't know if I say correctly his name. So it's a 94 years old naturalist who has done countless of TV reports about it over the past 60 years. And it's very interesting. He showed all this transformation the planet will have. So climate emergency is no longer called climate change, but an emergency because global warming and its consequences are already irreversible. So, for example, melting of polar ice and intensify of natural catastrophes. So this week also I saw a new about the probability of tsunamis that occur in the Arctic. So it's really serious. And my question is, when we start having tsunamis around the world, what have we humans done to protect ourselves? As David said, it's about save us. So this require a major preparation and adaptation effort of us that we should have already started. I really like this kind of issues because actually I study my PhD and post-PhD and master since the university, the environment issues. So I wrote a book about water and another book about the climate change. So for me, it's a very sensible issue. So the fourth industrial revolution, we see also the robots and artificial intelligence, but we'll talk more about this after in another part. And the advancement of medicine, what brings human longevity, which means the cure and the vaccines and remedies for many diseases. But on the other hand, we also had the appearance of many other incurable diseases like SIDA, Ebola, coronavirus, and so all this infectious disease and pandemic we're living now. So here you can stop and already think, start your first reflection like a self-test and ask for yourself, are you following this change in this age of history acceleration? Do you understand that we live in the age of history acceleration? Which of these change is still difficult for you to adapt? In the case of the next few years, I'm not talking about about 40 years, but only 5 or 10 years ahead, if any of this situation be worse, for example, the climate emergency, are you prepared to face this situation? So you can also start to think about and give some comments also in the YouTube if you want to. So Marcelo, you can go to the next slide and continue to talk about why do you need the adaptability trait. So here I bring to you some considerations from Vieira about adaptability and his different treatises. And it's important to highlight the following part from the Treaty 700 experiments. What is necessary for me and you today and always is our constant and healthy adaptation to the new inventions, discoveries, and rediscoveries in an irreversible way, without presenting conservatism, repressions, and orthodoxies in relation to the effects on us of the shocks of the future, misoneism or neophobias. So the test he proposes, what is your degree of personal and natural adaptation, neophilia, to the new things? Are you rationally satisfied with your own reactions to what is new? So also about the age of history acceleration and the need for adaptation, Valdo comments in his lexicographic treat, and he said, in this existential respiratory dimension or intraphysiology dominated by rapid and increased change, the Holocene of acceleration of humans to history, in which we are immersed, is irreversible, we say all the time, and runs over neophobias and anachronist minds in all lines of intraphysical and multidimensional knowledge. So all the consciousness must take into account that the cosmos is constantly in change. Therefore, it's essential for us to learn to follow the new reality. For those who don't know who Valdo was, there is the photo of him with his lovely cat. I don't know if Marcelo, do you change you have another slide? Maybe you need to change to show Valdo. Okay. So now we'll talk about the next slide. Why is important for intermissivists to acquire and improve the adaptability trait? Another reflection I propose here is, do you consider yourself an intermissivist? Have you done the test of the treat 700 experiments, solution and assistance tasks? If you start from the idea that intermissivist is a mini piece of assistance maxi mechanism, which means that the main goal is provide assistance, so the intermissivist will probably have difficulties in assisting if he has difficulties of adaptation to his environment or with the groups. So Professor Vieira highlights the importance of adapting to the time, to the moment, and to the space, the place you're living or you're interacting in a gradual and continuous way, as he explained here in this phrase. So he say, everything in life requires personal adaptation to the local Holocene and in the evolutionary moment, and to the living or lucid component of a scenario of existence. So we are to go into the last part of the last slide of the part one, and you can talk about what are the evolutionary and interassistantial gains we have when we develop the adaptability trait. So the objective of this study is to demonstrate the importance of acquiring the adaptability trait to catalyze your self-evolution and collaborate with groupokarmic and polykarmic evolution. The method of understanding of this subject is adaptatiology, which is still underdeveloped. Valdo wrote 2 verbooks about this, and in all this he developed some phrase about it also, but it's a new science. So, but this have a deep connection with 2 specialties of conscientiology, that evolutionology and interassistantiology. So about the benefits, you can relate the multiple benefits that come from the lucid commitment to improve adaptability. For example, it's not only overcome the inadaptability, of course, you want to overcome the inadaptability, but the expansion of fraternal coexistence, that in addition of these personal gains, we have the acquisition of this trait that open the way for multiple forms of assistance. So, and your feeling of well-being is also enhanced by the sense of evolutionary usefulness. So, I don't know, Marcelo, we finished the first part. If anybody has any questions so far.
Yes, Viviane, we have one question from Anna Yoga. Okay, she's asking about how would you compare adaptability to resilience?
In July, in the course about evolution that is going on now in CEAEC, coordinated by Roberto Leimen, he said that resilience is something you need to be adapted. You know, it's a strong trait that you need also, that goes beside the same side with adaptability. So first you try to be adaptable person, but to keep on this, you need the resilience, because all the time we have other challenges that you be like forced to have resilience also. So that's the comparison he did, and I agree with him.
Okay, so
Some
Viviane,
another question?
we don't have additional questions at this moment, so let's proceed and just reinforce with the group that if you want to make any questions, just put them on the chat, please.
And it would be great also if the people leave the comments in the YouTube, so I can see after, and also I can comment also, and know where you are. Okay.
Okay.
So now we start a more practical approach. Let's do some self-tests of some context. The idea in this part is to make you reflect on some situations that are constantly demanding for us a certain degree of adaptability. So I'm going to propose some questions. The migratory adaptability, have you had this kind of experience? And for some, have you moved to some other city or to other country? How it was a good adaptation. And also we'll talk about the new context you have now, the pandemic situation. And also we'll talk about the thing you need to be in adaptation all the time. That's why I'm saying readaptation, so the technological readaptation. So let's start in the next slide talking about technological news. Which of these technologies do you already use? Which ones have you heard about? And which ones do you have no idea what is it? Which ones do you think you could use or you'd like to use to improve your life, to improve your well-being? So I let there a lot of figures. You can see, for example, have you heard about the 5G network? Do you know what is it? Network will be 100 times faster. I don't know if you have seen, but last Sunday, the Fantastic did a report about it, which shows how much the world is going to change with this new technology. It's now like a Cold War between China and the United States, who will dominate, which country will dominate this technology. So it's really important now. So I recommend the fantastic report about it. It's in YouTube, you can find it. It's 17 minutes. So have you seen smart homes, a smart health device for smart homes, for example? Do you know how it works? Have you heard about the Internet of Things, that you change the cities, the cities we call smart cities? Have you heard about pigs? Now in Brazil, they try to start with pigs. Here in Sweden, we have another one that's Switch, that it works for many years, but now they are doing this something similar in Brazil. Do you know the Nubank, how it works, everything? Have you heard about blockchain, for example, Bitcoin, digital currency? So I suggest you say yes, no for each one, and then you test yourself, okay? And then, do you know something about artificial intelligence? That is when they do a behavior simulation with a machine learning. It's shown within that documentary, Social Dilemma. They explain how it works. Have you used a virtual and augmented reality glass, that big glass? Do you know how it works? Do you know about hyper automation, so the robotic process? This kind of autonomy of objects like autonomous cars, robots. Have you heard that in Campinas they start to do the delivery of iFood by drones? So the food goes with drones to a certain place, and then from there they distribute to a near place. So have you heard about robots that distribute medicines and medical supplies in the hospital? Like it's already happened in Finland. In this report of Fantastic, they show that also. So, do you have an electric bicycle? Do you want to use an electric bicycle? Or do you want to lose weight and use the normal bicycle? Do you use some kind of renewable energy? Do you have a solar panel in your house? Do you use the cloud to save your documents, like Dropbox storage, Google Drive, OneDrive? Do you have some time tracking app on networks to measure how long are you connected to your phone? Have you done this test? You'll be surprised that maybe you many hours in the phone every day. So it's good because you can control yourself. So, do you know what is chatbots? Have you been attended by virtual assistant? Yeah, last Friday I tried to change a thing with in an app, and then only virtual assistant respond me. It was really bad experience. Answers, so we cannot answer question many different things, so they don't understand what you want. It's really bad. I didn't like it, but okay. But sometimes can help and can be faster, and can be good for of course for the enterprise, because they don't need to put to pay salaries to human assistants. So do you use voice and facial recognition in your phone? Do you listen to podcasts or watching YouTube channels? Have you heard about smartwatch with oximeter, which measure your percentage of breathing? It's very useful today, but it's very expensive. Only, I think, the Apple, the smartwatch of Apple, the number 5, it now have this kind of oximeter. Do you use audiobooks? Are you familiar with this new way of listening to the music? Or do you have the old discs like LP? Or do you use Spotify, iTunes? Do you know how to use the meeting platforms? Have you used this with your family to have some like lives to celebrate something? Do you use Zoom, FaceTime, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams? Have you used something like that? Do you know that now they have the Face Family app that is used to find disappeared people? It's really nice. It's really good to use technology to give some hope for the people, to improve the relations. So it's really good. It's really good also to us that we research conscientiology, because now you have, I've tested already 2 different apps. We have Synalecticogram that you can measure your synaletics, and the EV app also. It's really nice. It can remember you all the time you need to do EV. And last but not least, have you heard about the iRobot Scoba? It's a vacuum clean and floor washing. They wash the floor, so you don't need to work in your and clean your house anymore. You have a robot for this. So is there, of these things I said, something that we were against, you don't want to use these 5 years ago, but now you learn and say, okay, I will start to use that also. So now we start, for example, for me, I can say, I start to use the cloud to save my documents. I start to use time tracking app. I try to use podcast. I watch a lot of movies in YouTube. From this list, I think I would like to test the virtual and augmented reality glass. I would like to test also, let's see, the robot that wash my home. So it would be great. So let's go to the next slide, Marcelo, please. So the next slide, we continue to talk about technological readaptation. And I bring now a reflection, how the use of this technology is affecting you and how could it affect your future? What about the future of human beings? The ideal is to have a health experience with technology that we name homeostatic technophilia. But so it will be neither the fear of learning and using technologies like technophobia, nor the uncontrolled and additive using, like it would be technomania. For example, cell phone addiction, which is now a stunned behavior for million people, and now is considered a psychiatric disease called nomophobia. I don't know if you have heard about nomophobia. So the result is, the reflection I want to bring now is, we need, it's urgent that we readapt the technological tools and our use of them. So that should be cheaper, massified, more control for, so in other words, what I want to say here is positive things, of course, can improve our quality of life, but if it's created or used in a wrong way, can also represent a great damage to our lives, to the future of human beings, to the intelligence of the kids, to the development of the teenagers and the workers. So you're not going to develop this topic today, because it will take 3 hours only talk about the readaptation of technologies. But we can remember some technological problems, as the amount of electronic waste. Where will you put all the electronic waste we have? The increase in fraud and cyber crimes, the increase of fake news, the fact that people are increasingly addicted to electronic device and how it's affect their relationships. I saw something about this week also, a book from a French neurologist that called Factory of Digital Pricks, like idiots, showing that the children of this generation are becoming less intelligent. So they did key IQ tests and they realized that the kids are so dispersed, though they don't concentrate, so they become less intelligent also than the last generation. So it's really dangerous, if you don't have control of electronic device or you are addicted to it. So another point is the fact that we don't know the influence on our health of the more intense electromagnetic waves. So now you have this 5G network, and I saw this more intense. And what is the effect of this in our health? So also the fact that the robots are stealing jobs from humans. You say, I just say about the virtual assistants. So other problem is the question, the lack of democratization of internet. So in Brazil, we still have the rural place, millions of people who never heard about internet. So we also use the tech device. They also use includes the government, the China. They have a lot of, they don't trust in China because of this, because they say that they are using tech device to spy. And you have so many negative aspects that technology brings to our lives today. So, but I like to finish this part saying that I like to be optimist and seeing that the documentary Social Dilemma from Netflix, which I recommend because it's really shocking. I was really shocking. So I like the phrase from one of the creators of Facebook that in the final part, they have a lot of creators of this social media. And they said, one of them said something like, if we create this harmful and dangerous tech device and tools to society, and this now is taking humanity into a catastrophic situation, then it's up to us. It's our responsibility to readapt the technology create and make it better. So you can change. If the thing is not going on in a good way, let's use another technology to change the situation. That's the rational thing you should do now. So before pass there to the another slide, I will read the definition of technological readaptation. I sent for Encyclopedia of Conscientiology, and now I'm in the phase of writing this verbiage, and I see that we have many things to talk about it. I'm not a IT specialist, but because I feel that I need to do a lot of effort to do this readaptation of technologies, so I think I can represent all the people who wants to thinking about it. So as I'm writing about adaptation, I think technological adaptation is a crucial issue. So I bring this definition to the encyclopedia. It was a set, and it says technological readaptation is the act or process of reeducating and adapting the interaction of conscious man or woman with technological tools in constant creation and mutation in the aiming at the cosmoetic and interassistantial use. So that is the proposal. So we need to use this technology within the cosmoetic and use this to do assistance. Marcelo, I don't know if you have some, before we pass to the pandemic context, do you have any questions so far?
Yes, Viviane. Starting with a question from Christina Arakaki. What will be the most challenges for intermissivists to adapt in this real Brex era?
I don't know. I think each intermesserist can think in his evolution phase. What's my evolution phase now? What are my weak traits? No, what is where I want to arrive? I want to be desperto, for example. I want to. So, what's my goal? And then we have to fight for it to find your way in this adaptive uh, context, you know. But I think that at least if you have the conscious of study this kind of things, reflect these, and do a self-diagnose of your manifestation, you are in a good way, you know. You have to keep doing your self-research and see what is good for you, what is lacking for you, for your evolution. I think it's that way. In the third part, we're talking about the diagnosis, and then I have another tips about what can be missing in your evolutionary way to keep on to help with the hellbacks area. Include Chris, the chapter of the book that I'm writing. I have a chapter about adaptation, adaptability, and railbacks. No, and I have many inputs. Like I bring also the degrees of adaptability. We can have the public. The assistential public, we can have like re-urbanized agent. So probably today we don't have time to talk about it, because you can talk about this for 3 hours, maybe another life, no, Marcelo. We can bring more conscientiology approach, talking about adaptability and proacts, adaptability and hellbacks, adaptability to multiple dimensions, and you can go on, go more deeper to these subjects. Any other question, Marcelo?
Yes, another one here from Melanie. How to navigate the extent of adaptability between adapting too much, becoming inauthentic, and adapting too little, neophobia. What about cosmoethics? Okay, how do you see that,
Cosmoetics.
Viviane?
The good thing, she brings the answer already. The good things is she already brings the answer. We talk about it in the course with Robert Lime, and he said about that's it. The limit of everything's the cosmoetics. So I talk about this in my conclusion today. So the problem is you cannot to be adaptable person just to say, okay, I'm adaptable person, but you're doing things, or you're doing something that warm yourself. So that's not good. That's not the idea. You have to say no for bad things, you know. So there's also a verb, but the name is bonus of bell. It's really good because make you have a position and say, okay, to say no, because I will not do this kind of things just to feel. So sometimes it's good you not be adaptable person in the baratosphere. So that's it. It's cosmoetic, Melanie. You're right.
Okay, another
Marcelo,
question.
how is it going?
Yeah, yes, it's going well. We have another question here from Christina. How could
Okay.
intermissivists help the cons to adapt in the intraphysical dimension after a long period in the extraphysical dimensions?
I think the most important thing is the re-education, you know. It's why we're trying to do now, to spread information, to say this, to talk about these important things, that adaptability is an important things, that technological readaptations are important thing, that to be adapted, at understand the situation of pandemic context is an important thing. To do effort to do a migratory process, that can catalyze your evolution, it's also an important thing. So if you give the example, to the other Commons Health that arrive and resonate here now, you can also help them, and also you can spread this kind of information and writing books and give lectures and class and talk about it, and bring everybody to reflect, at least reflect about the importance of this.
Thank you. Another question now
Oh, Chris,
from
if
Ana
I
Paula
didn't
Laje.
answer, if you want to ask something more, I'm here.
Sorry, can we repeat, Viviane? It was a little
Yeah,
bit
could
cut.
you relate that? Okay.
Okay. So, could you relate the attribute of adaptability with flexibility and interassistance, please? Question from Ana Paula.
Yeah, yeah. In the next part, in the final part, I do a list of 44 strong traits that are relate with adaptability and flexibility, and also interassistance is also strong traits that can help, of course. Includes, there's another verb from Conscientiology that helped me a lot also, that the name is flexibility, cosmetic flexibility. So it's really nice. You have all this kind of, I will show you, you can see a lot of strong traits and say, okay, I'm in a good way with this strong trait, or I need to improve this strong trait. So you can self-evaluate yours, and then you try to do an effort to have this kind of a strong trait that will help you to find your adaptability, to put in place, to put practice of your adaptability. So let's go on. Melanie. Synalectogram. I can leave. It's available in English. I don't know. I saw in Portuguese only for Android. But I can leave the link in the commenters, the comments after the live. Okay, Melanie?
Okay, thank you, Viviane. And then let's move back to the presentation. Then we have a couple more questions that we're going to answer at the end of the next part.
Okay. So now we talk about the pandemic context. So is this now, they saying that the name of this now, this situation as the new normal? So another self-test I want to reflect on, it's about the pandemic context we are living now. So are you prepared to adapt to the new pandemic and post-pandemic normal? Are you ready for a second wave that is already happened in Brazil, or maybe Brazil in the first wave never finished, but now in Europe you have you're certainly about this second wave of coronavirus. So are you ready for a second wave of coronavirus in your lockdown? Or are you experiencing what the World Health Organization is calling pandemic mental fatigue? So the people are tired of being home. So, and you would prefer to risk and go around anyway. So which of these change, I put some figures there, have most affected you in the pandemic context? The use of mask, the obligation of be constantly washing hands. Have you changed many hygienic behavior? Do you feel fear of contamination? What was worse for you in this situation? The social isolation, the loneliness, or the excess of contact with the family at home? Have you started a new hobby, writing, gardening, some doing some therapies? Have you participated in solidarity networks? Have you become unemployment? Or have you have your project paralyzed? So look how many things we already have to adapt. Only in 6 months, everything changed. So are you already adapted to all this, or many things that is still too difficult for you? What about the technological interaction during the pandemic context? I saw new about it that say that specialists are saying that the advancement of technology occurs exponentially. The speed of transformation was already accelerating, but with the pandemic situation, this wave became what they call tech tsunami. So now we live in a tech tsunami. So which of these changes have most affected your technological interaction in this context? So are you working in a home office now? Have you heard about virtual assignment? Do you know what virtual assignment is? A work contract in a country. So I'm working, for example, here in Sweden, but I have a contract in Sweden, but I'm living now in Brazil because of the pandemic. I moved to Brazil, but I still have a contract in Sweden. I can work by computer. So what do you do using internet now? You do course, homeschooling, educational course, you see lives, you do entertainment like games, music lives, the theater. Do you do physical exercise by YouTube, for example, or some other therapies? Another important question you have to stop and try to thinking about it. Have you increased your cell phone use? Are you addicted to telephone now? So do you use this time of pandemic to approaching family and friends through networks and WhatsApp? So some friend you didn't talk like for 5 years, now you're okay, I have time, so I start to talk with my friends in Facebook, for example. Have you some virtual dating during the pandemic context? So you have to keep the distance, so virtual dating, why not? So have you increased online transactions? So iFood, supermarket, books, the Amazon, no? The Amazon is an enterprise that, a company that it's increasing a lot because of this context of pandemic. So which of these examples was more difficult to adapt? Which caused the most discomfort? What are you missing? Are you missing go out and have fun? Have you gone to the cinema, for example, like in the figure there, like with some distance? Do you travel, or are you missing to travel, to visit family, to have a presential class? Your kids are missing to have a presential class, for example. Do you have it clear what is affecting you in this pandemic context, and why? It's because you have some weak trait. It's because you need to develop yourself in some way. So how can you use the adaptability trait, and how can you acquire this trait to feel better a bit more about pandemic context? As is common now, humanitarian crisis, it revealed the best and the worst of the people. So while suffering from the pandemic cannot be ignored, we need to understand that we can benefit from the crisis also. So I believe in this context, we need to make an effort to be more lucid about what we have positive. Do your list. What is going is a good way in this for you now? So look at this and focus on this, the positive things you have. There are a lot of people that is hungry now because of this. So try to make this effort to be less about the things you have positive in your life. So also be alert to what you may be learning from this context of crisis. What you, I don't know, maybe you're learning to do something, some different thing you don't have time before, or you have changed. Have you changed some personal trait? Why? So can you reflect? Can you think different after the pandemic context in some way? So my advice would be, let's try to complain less, to work harder, to get better, to get the better of it. So try to adapt more to the countless of features source that will already is arriving. Many things is coming, new things is coming, is more quickly, faster. So are you? You need to be prepared for many others things that is coming. So in this context, it's essential to seek to improve the assumption of adaptability as one of the ways to promote the exercise of health coexistence, to live better with your family, to live better with your friends, to value all your relationship, to value your life, your breathing. This is a good point. The first point is, are you breathing in this pandemic situation? So, okay, you are a survivor, because it's really scare, situation. So and the consequence, and if you have, and we individually we have this trait of also in a collective way we can evolve, do our evolution. So we can go on and talk about migratory adaptability. That's my case. Marcelo, you can change the slide. So as I said before, I start to study adaptability just because I start to realize the enormous difficulties I had here. So in the first article I wrote on the top in March 2018, I made an interparadigmatic application of international migratory adaptability. I did also a verbate about it, emphasizing both the psychosocial approach, for one side, for the paradigm of psychosocial approach, and on another side, some reflections with the consensual paradigm. So now, very quickly, I will show the parameters that I suggest in the article, considering first only the intraphysical life, and then after, I will show some aspects of consensual paradigm. The question here is, in the migratory experience you had when you changed cities or countries, which one of these things weighed most on your adaptability? I will not be able to develop every point one by one, but I will give you an overview so that you can question yourself, and also you can see the article if you want to go deeper. Okay, the article is in the Interparadigm journal. Yeah, I think it's on internet also. So the conventional parameters you can analyze to measure the degree of migratory adaptability are the conventional, so the intraphysical aspects is, of course, for me, is the most difficult. The climate, economic, educational, gastronomic, idiom, labor, political, legal, social, and technological. For example, here there's some technological device that I didn't know. For example, now the Pix you have in Brazil, it has for a long time here, so I have to to understand how it works, the Swedish swish, and go to the bank and do all the, so I have to adapt in the technological way here in Sweden also. If we have time, we will deepen my experience here in Sweden. But for example, for me, what was more difficult still is the language. I also have difficulties with the cold and the darkness. For example, now it was like 4 afternoon and was already dark. And in 1 month, in 22nd of December, it would be like 3 or 2:30 will be like dark. So it's really tough this month for me. Mainly for October to February is very dark, and I feel depressed. I feel the lack of vitamin D. So, and I compliment, of course, but still it's not easy at all. So, but I still have many difficulties with bureaucracy, because I say that we can talk more about this, but here they have a lot of legal and political aspects that you need to understand, and it's very difficult to understand because nobody give you the advices, and you have to go by yourself, try to find the things in the internet, and you don't understand the language, and you translate. But okay, so it's really a mess. So I have a lot of problems with this. And so the next slide, please, Marcelo. The next slide, we're talking about the conceptual parameters to measure the degree of migratory adaptability that I choose. And I choose more 10 items, like assistance, communicability, cosmoethics, intellectuality, megafraternity, parapsychism, universalism, proexis, reubexis, and CEAEC, pluriexistentiality. So we can see that we have there the consciential tridotation, communicability, cosmoethics, intellectuality. Also, we have the we call a holophilosophical trinomial in Conscientiology, which is megafraternity, universalism, and parapsychism. So, difficult to pronounce it. Okay, so here, what is important is to make the following observation. For you to be able to study your adaptation from the consensual perspective, first, I think it's important you are not struggling with the intraphysical parameters, because it will be more difficult to go deeper and think about the consensual parameters perspective. For example, CEAEC research, or megaproexism, or urbanizer agent in the new country, if you are still busy with all the basic aspects, if you have a lot of mental confusion because you have big problems of bureaucracy, or you have a big problem because you don't know the language, so sometimes it's better you go deeper in your consensual approach when you have your your brain more free, I would say. So of course you can have and note and try to understand the things, but I can say to you, for example, I start to do the pluriexistentiality research, and the first year was here, but I said, no, it's too much things for the first year I'm here. So I stop it and I say, okay, let's try to solve it. That's what was my experience. So let's try to solve another problems first, and then after go deeper in the consensual, in the CEAEC, for example, CEAECology. So we can go to the just to finish the migratory adaptability. So said that we can add that migratory adaptability can have 3 degrees. as I developed in the Verbert International Migratory Adaptability. There I put the initial international migratory adaptability that it's oscillated to the parameters of integration into daily life in the new Holocene. Also, that means the intraphysical parameters I showed before. So when you are in the initial degree, you're still thinking more about the intraphysical items. And the second degree would be intermediate international migratory adaptability, as reflexive as to the consensual self-perform. So you will start in intermediate phase to think, okay, I'm a part of, I'm a urbanized agent because I'm here. I'm the only one. I think, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I'm I'm alone doing synapses in all Sweden. So it's an indicator that I'm a urbanized agent here. So I can start thinking about it, but I don't know, it's the intermediate phase. And then after the advanced would be integrated in terms of productive activities in the praxis, when you are sure about all your mission in this country, you are very on track in the way of your mega proaxis, you are really doing a good job as a urbanizer agent. So and you have all things very organized of your seriological research. So it's more advanced phase. To finish this part, I would say that it's important that migrant from this reevaluation of this evolutionary moment finds motivation. Motivation is a key issue to promote the recycling, to promote the acceleration of personal history, which can be optimized by the new Holocene and Mesology. So a rapid conclusion of this would say migratory adaptability is a driver, is opportunity, is a driver of consensual evolution, is a springboard for change evolutionary levels on a way of evolutionary catalyst. So I give you the last question about this part of self-test. Have you already made a reflection or self-diagnosis about migratory adaptability as an evolutionary opportunity? Do you consider yourself prepared to face the challenge of adapting to new environments? So I realize that's an evolutionary opportunity. You know, I think here I can think more, I can go deep. Of course, I think is like the growth crisis made you like change evolutionary levels, and it's a good experience to do this in a migratory experiment. So the personal experience. You
Yes.
must be wondering,
So
no, but Viviane, after you have lived in Brazil, a country full of problems, now you are complaining about your adaptation in Sweden? And Sweden, a first world country, rich, super organized, everything works there, no poor. So about Sweden, I have already presented another live on the same channel here in ISIC, in the Holocarm of Nations project. And there I explain in more detail my difficulties here. So I put it on the list there, but I invite you to watch this live. Then, okay, let's go. Marcelo, any questions?
yes, Renato. Okay. Well, from Marcos, when it comes to adaptability, what do you see as the biggest challenge for projectiology instructors when going overseas? Thank you and keep up with this good work. Viviane?
Okay, I'm here. You say like projectiology instructors. I think actually it's a very good question, because here, for example, we're talking about in the last live I was saying about Sweden, and to like present Conscientiology in this new country. And I think depend of the culture of the country. Here, for example, I said that they have open minds and they are curious. Of course, they are shy. They don't want to talk about their experience, and this is a barrier. But in the other side, they are curious, and they are not a dogmatic person. They don't have. Most of them are not religious person, so it's easy to have some openness to say things about Conscientiology and projectiology in structure. But I think it's very like you have to see, you have to study the behaviors of the people in the country you want to do this kind of step, you know. And of course try to respect, of course try to find the people who want to understand better about Conscientiology, but all at the same time give the space, because here, for example, we had a good experience that Evelyn and Isabelle from Finland and Evelyn is from Sweden, they gave energetic technicals in Stockholm, I think 2 years ago, and there was like 30 women and Pablo, my husband, and it was really nice. I think they liked this, but it's difficult to like to keep, because they are curious and so they go, but to keep the attention or to get the attention and do groups about it, this here, I think the most difficult part is because they are shy, they are reserved, they don't open their experience. So I think each country has their default. So some another question.
Okay. Yes, next question from Melanie. What kind of influence do the life techniques in VEX and RESEX have on migratory adaptability?
It's a very deep question, Melanie. I have a chapter in the book that the name is Techniques of Adaptability. And of course, we use a lot of techniques from Conscientiology, techniques from RESEX, of course, from IVEX also. And it would be, I think it would be good if you can talk about this deeper in the next slide. Because I think it would be really good if I think for me, for example, because I'm testing these techniques, I'm thinking about it every day. All the time I have some difficulty here, I think, but I have to apply that technical from Conscientiology. So it's changed my mind, it changed my thought about the difficult, you know. So of course, if we could spread this kind of techniques like INVEX, if we have INVEX all around the world, if you have RESEX techniques being applying all around the world, the person, the people would be more adaptable. No, I think something in this way. The third part is very fast.
Yeah, just one. We have 2 more questions. Okay, I think that's from Renato Araújo. What would be the limit between adaptability and not being able to adapt for a person who does not fix residence and moves too frequently?
Yeah, there's a concept now. I told about this in my verb, but nomadismo consciential nomadism, because there's a difference between you just flying like a butterfly, flying and like gypsy and doing a lot of things and change and don't give something and don't learn the things, or don't give good experience, don't live good experience in the place you pass through. So, and it's very different from the person that is doing like a consciential nomadism. That's a verbiage from Katia Arakaki, that is doing some proaxis task, that task, or is doing some like good things to this country and spread like new thoughts and have good relationship with the people where you pass through. So just pass through the place and give a good mark, and is different from just pass and enjoy the good things you have there and go like far west. So I recommend you to read the verbete Nomadism, Consciential Nomadism for Katia Arakaki.
Okay. Another question, Viviane. Okay. How could the trait of adaptability could help us after the soma?
Yeah, and this I will go deeper when I talk with about adaptability to multiple dimensions. So of course, after the soma, when you go when you dead, you need to, if you have the adaptability trait, you not be like suffering because you leave your attachment with your family, with the things you leave behind. So if you have the adaptability, you understand you live a new age, a new moment, the intermediate course. You live in a different dimension, extra-physical dimension, and you try to enjoy that part of your life. Your life is continue, and you just have to understand that you leave behind. You're not attachment anymore with the things that happen in the intraphysical life, and you can go on doing good things also in extraphysical life. So it's very important. We have the adaptability trait. That's why I have a chapter only about adaptability in multiple dimensions.
Okay, Viviane, let's go continue with the presentation right now.
Okay, it will be quickly now. Just so the third part is about self-diagnosis. Have you analyzed your behaviors uh, to accept the need for change? So to this self-research, we need to do a consciential re-education through the analysis of your manifestation in different contexts, become aware for what stimulates or inhibit the development of your adaptability trait. From then on, you can drive a gradual recycling process, change the course of personal and group evolution. So I suggest here, I have a part in the book about it, where I suggest a conscientiometric analysis that is done in conscientiological research. In other words, I want to say it's you have to research what are your inhibitory postures, what is a barrier to your manifestations, what are that prevent you from adapting to a certain situation. The second question should be that what are the strong traits that would help you in this challenge and that you don't have yet? So in the book I'm writing about adaptability, I have a chart that helps with this diagnosis, and I bring a list to help the identification for this manifestation and the identification of strength traits. I divide this list in two parts: those indicative of lack of acceptance of change process in the beginning, and another list about common postures during, after, so during the adaptation process. So the first one, the acceptance, is show when you have several attitudes that may indicate that conscientiousness is not accepting the need to undertake an evolutionary change. It means you can analyze if you are stuck in this phase, maybe because you don't even want to try to change, you don't want to move. So because of some of these behaviors. So I leave here this list. For example, asking you, do you know what apriorismose is? Another common feeling is attachment and fear. So let's see apriorismose. Apriorismose is acting in a preconceived way. Person still gives a lot of strength to. So it's not good for when you need to do the first step to change. No. Another problem that I was talking about now in the question of Chris Arakaki about the attachment. So attachment, apego, is to fix the idea or appreciation of the status quo. So you're missing the intraphysical life. You cannot enjoy the extraphysical life, when you're dead. So that's preventing person from moving forward and enjoy the next phase of your existence. The another thing it's really common is the fear, that it's a debilitating feeling that's carrying away by fear for the future. Okay, so this is some of the item of this list. When you have the book, you can go on and give your points and say, okay, this is okay. I don't do this kind of things. I do this kind of things. So I need to improve this. So you can make you reflect about your adaptability. So the next slide, I will talk about other behaviors, but now in the change process, the second part of the behavior list is when the person has at least accept, I need to do the change. I cannot live anymore like this. I'm not feeling good. I need to go to another place, or I need to leave my husband, or I need to change. I need to do some change because I'm not feeling good. So now I'm on the adaptation process. But the problem is sometimes the people sabotaging their goal, due to a feeling of limitation, given the difficulties that used to happen on the way. So the question here is, are you having some of this behavior during your adaptation process? So, for example, for me, it's really common, the self-demand in fulfilling an obligation or task that not helps me in the change process. Another manifestation that's not good also, undervaluing personal value, depreciate yourself and lowering too much. The pessimism, so the tendency to perceive things worse than they are. So the vanity, the extreme self-worth and concern with self-image. So this kind of things you need to analyze. Are you having this kind of behaviors? But of course, I want to leave observation here, because it's necessary to be clear with all this manifestation. If they are only oscillatory, so sometimes I have this kind of behavior, or if they are permanent in your evolutionary moment, and which of them are very excessive and contribute to the stagnation of your evolution. So sometimes it's just because you have this bad moment, or you are like that, so you have also to reflect about it. To finish, I leave here some strong traits that I said before. I list 44 strong traits that, for me, I think is very connected with the adaptability and helps you to enhance your adaptability. So I recommend you do your list, or you see that list, which of them it's you already got. So in my example, for example, I had persistent, I try to be resilient, I try to have some versatility, but I'm still not too good, for example, in concentration, or sometimes I don't have patience. So that we have to analyze. But for the other hand, I start to strengthen some the weak traits I had with the strong traits I have. So curiosity, I have self-education, courage, productive, neophilia. And then I start to monitor and try to recycle the weak traits that I still have in some degree. You understand? So I study in adaptability. In the book, I write the next step is the therapeutic. After you do the self-diagnosis, you can go to the techniques based on the ideas of Conscientiology that we can use, include, as Melanie said, in vexillology, sexology, many technicals you can use from Conscientiology that can improve your adaptability trait. I have already about 15 pages about this. Of course, any suggestions is still open. I'm open to discuss about it. But I have some techniques I can talk about. Just to say the list I have so far. So the acceptance phase, the traforist view. I don't know how to translate it, but is to see the positive of the new situation, the place, and the people. The interassistance networks is really important. The focus on evolutionary purpose, so the proaxis aligning with your proaxis, the self-motivation, and the productive activism. So be complain and do nothing will not help you to be adaptable person. Unfortunately, today we will not have time to develop each one here. The same for the other part that I start to develop in the book. You see there, Marcelo, the next slide. Now I just give you
and then
an overview to
Viviane, before going to the next part, just a last question from Christiane Aragak, going a little bit deeper on her previous question.
Okay.
How the trait of adaptability could help us to pass through the second desoma?
How does it? Yeah, it's that I've said before. If you are not attached to the intraphysical life, you'll be more open to live your in extraphysical dimension. So that's how the adaptability is very important, to live in the both dimensions, intraphysical, extraphysical. For example, include here intraphysical, we can be open to be in the extraphysical by the projections. But if you are afraid of being in another part, of being in another dimension, you cannot do that. So I think the adaptability is really important to pass through the second desoma. It's the most important trait you have, you need to have to pass through and the opposite of this is the attachment and to be apego, no? To be connected to the intraphysical life. Thanks, Chris, for your questions. So that's why I'm talking about the techniques of adaptability. So 2 minutes, Marcelo, please, and then I finish. So, for example, adaptability to multiple dimensions that we're talking now. Are you adaptable to your body, the body you have, to the family you were born in, the friends you have in this intraphysical dimension? Everything is okay in your life now in your intraphysical dimension. Are you adaptable to the extraphysical dimension, or are you afraid of having phenomena like projections? Are you afraid of death? That's the problem. If you are afraid and you are attached with the intraphysical life, you not understand that you're deaf and you'll be suffering because you're deaf. No, you don't understand. You have pluri-existentiality, and then you can go on living for a while in the extraphysical phase, and then you come back after and resomate. So, for example, with regard also to assistance issue, would you be able to make a baratospherical rescue in the extra-physical? But the problem is, if you adapt to baratospheric, you'll be there. So you need to understand that you can go there, help the people, and come back, So by projection, I mean. So do you consider yourself a proexist, helping for a mega proexist? Do you consider you are collaborating as a urbanized agent? So for this, you need to understand that the adaptability trait is very important to act, to interact life and extra-physical dimension. So conclusions, Marcelo. As a conclusion, I just want to say that I want to demonstrate here today was that adapting is part of our life, it's our evolution. So in this moment, adaptability is being demanded more and more for us in this planet context. I sincerely also believe that it would be very important to review the subjects we study at school and to include subjects such as nutrition, financial management, the labor market, the politics and democracy, and within the multiculturalism discipline, children should begin to learn about adaptability in the school, because we need to know how to have this trait. You'll be more happy if you are adaptable person. But it's also important to say here that doesn't mean that you have to submit yourself to everything that life imposes for you. You don't need to accept all the situation that harms you or make you or other people suffering, just to show that you are an adaptable person. So the adaptability must be cosmetic with you and all the people around you. So this is the bonus of saying no that I was saying before, to what is not part of our evolution. So if Facebook, for example, is used by everyone but takes away your concentration, it's not good for you. You don't need to use it. It's not because everybody is using, you have to use it. So you can say no to various situations that get you out of the way of your evolution. Like you said, like is some cultural idiotism. For example, feeling obliged to drink alcohol at a party. So it's not good for your evolution. So it's not because everybody's doing, you have to do also. So the last commenter I want to say is, you cannot tercerize your adaptability. I mean, you cannot blame others for your inadaptability. This is a centrifugal process. It's from inside to outside. It's not because it's not going in a good way, as I thought here in Sweden, that I have to say, oh, because the Swedish are the worst in the world. No, maybe it's my problem. I need to overcome this inadaptability. So you are responsible for your adaptability, for your evolution, and your qualified assistance. It's a hard process, but you can do it.
Perfect. Thank you, Viviane.
Thank you for everything.
It was a great presentation. On behalf of ISIC, I would like to thank you all and everybody that participate on this Bridge Researchers today. It was really a joy to watch it and being part of it. And I just want to leave the invitation for the first Sunday of December. We are going to have Carla Galdino talking about overcoming intellectual low self-esteem on December 6th. So again, Viviane, it was a pleasure to have you here, and let's join us on the Bridge Researchers. Okay, it's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and see you around. Have a nice Sunday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.